The 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, or MEU, is just weeks away from an overseas deployment. Right now, training is everything. Today's mission is an amphibious raid on an enemy base.
Go, right there, go!
The beach landing is complete, and things are about to heat up. The Marines approach their objective. Chances are, they're rolling into a serious fight.
When you do a raid, you're almost deliberately confronting the enemy. You're going in there and usually taking something from them or disrupting or destroying something of value to him. So you almost know you're going to mix it up with the enemy when you do a raid.
The insurgents in this war game are hired actors. Their weapons fire only blanks. But they'll fight to win, just like the real enemy.
We benefit from pretty realistic role players today. We're able to simulate the environment relatively closely, so those Marines are put in the same decision-making process that they're going to face overseas.
As the lead armored vehicle approaches the enemy camp, the commander notices a small truck parked at the entrance. He senses something's not right.
The biggest killer of Marines and soldiers in the world today are IEDs, improvised explosive devices. Something as small as a compact car, you might be able to put 5 or 6 unexploded artillery shells, wire them together, and that's a big enough weapon to shred any truck or Humvee.
The decision is made to back off and sneak around into the hills behind the objective. These Marines have regained the element of surprise. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the right moment to launch the assault.
Combat is the province of uncertainty.
One coming in!
It's the province of physical danger, of doubt as to what the enemy is doing. And that's why during our training, we try to inject those kinds of uncertainties so we can train the decision maker.
One thing these Marines can be certain of, when it's time to do battle, they'll go in as some of the best equipped warfighters in the world. Their standard combat gear includes a Kevlar helmet, body armor, ballistic goggles, heavy gloves, and Marine-issue boots. Some missions call for night vision, a communications radio, and a field pack stuffed with enough ammo, food rations, and personal gear to last for days. Of course, we can't forget the Marines' primary personal weapon, the trusty M16.
It's lightweight, shoulder-fired, air-cooled, gas-operated, magazine-fed, and it's capable of firing single shot and a 3-round burst.
The M16A4 fires a 5.56 caliber round, has a range of 650 yards, and shoots up to 950 rounds per minute. The Marines first started using the M16 back in Vietnam, where the rifle's light weight was a big plus to the grunts that had to lug it through the jungle. In the early 1980s, the fully automatic option was scrapped in favor of an ammo-conserving semi-automatic 3-round auto burst.
The problem with going full automatic is you tend to shoot and spray. You don't aim with it. We no longer tell people just to spray fire downrange. We tell them to aim at targets. And this has become a real hallmark of American combat operations, particularly with the Marines.
The M16 is designed to accept the M203 grenade launcher. This 40mm launcher can fire off a variety of ballistic rounds, like the M406 anti-personnel round, with a kill radius of 16 feet. The M433 anti-armor round can penetrate a 3-inch armor plate.
This opens up right here, and it's a 40 mic round. It's about this thick. You're going to load that inside of the chamber right there, slap the chamber shut. Then when you have the magazine in, you're going to hold on to that, flip it off safe, boom, fires around.
Back at the training range, the 11th MEU Battalion landing team is in the thick of the fight. The strategy is to move through the compound, clearing the buildings one by one. Facing an armed enemy in enclosed spaces is one of the most dangerous forms of combat. Everyone's got to keep their head in the fight.
If one person doesn't know his job, that could get the person to his left, his right killed. So it's very important. Everybody knows how to do their job effectively and efficiently.
These troops need to be well versed in this kind of fight. That's because over the last 8 years, the majority of Marine Corps combat has happened in urban environments. November 8th, 2004. A force of 10,000 U.S. Marines and Army soldiers entered the Iraqi city of Fallujah. It's an all-out drive to eliminate insurgent strongholds. After most civilians flee, U.S. aircraft and artillery bombard the city, but the enemy remains. An estimated 3,000 insurgent militia are still barricaded inside buildings, determined to fight to the death. U.S. commanders know it'll take boots on the ground to root out the enemy. American forces, including the 26th New Battalion Landing Team, endure weeks of urban combat. They move building to building, clearing the enemy from the city.
Fallujah was some of the most intensive urban fighting in recent times. It was an enormous proof of the value of both combined arms, but particularly the individual aggressiveness and team spirit of the young Marines who had to fight, take this fight literally room to room.
The fierce fighting continues for 45 days. 51 Americans are killed. But the last of the insurgent militia are finally cleared from Fallujah.
Second platoon just found a huge cache. It's like 50 120 rounds, various rockets, other mortars, and mortar systems.
Fallujah stands as kind of a benchmark, not just for the Marines, but for everybody around the world on how to fight in an urban environment these days. Some of the key lessons learned: extensive use of communications and situational awareness gear, GPS, the new generation radios, which work much better in urban environments.
The lessons of Fallujah are incorporated into the 11th MEU's urban combat training.
How are you? Set some guys and suppress that building right there, because you get shooters still in that building. Roger.
These Marines make some mistakes, and they suffer a few casualties. But that's how they learn.
What happens when Marines make mistakes? That's the intent. We want them to make those mistakes in a controlled environment, which we can then debrief them, learn from our mistakes.
Less than an hour after initial contact, every enemy combatant is either captured or killed. The unit's strategies prove effective, and the training exercise is deemed a success.
The way they train us is the way that we're going to fight whenever we go in, so I think the training is definitely important to be able to react to certain situations, so that it's just second nature for us.
Not every threat can be settled with lethal force.